Hi VC, Dale Gate 433 here to do another video. This is a return to my Lost in the Collection series. So yeah, I paused that because I wasn't able to keep up with it. Certainly doing it on a weekly basis, so what I've decided I'll do it on a monthly basis to start back, focusing on the records that actually came into the collection or were listened to in that month 5 years ago exactly. So this is August 2021 now, so I'm looking at August 2016 when I was keeping a record of the last time I listened to records. And so within the August 2016 records there are actually 5 records that are 2016 releases, so the chances are I spun them a few times when I got them, stuck them on the shelf, and they've been on the shelf since 2016. Some of them I've got digitally, so they would have probably had a spin, if that's the right term, digitally since then, but certainly the vinyl is unlikely to have hit the turntable for 5 years, so I've gone back to them. And yeah, what did I think? So I'll show them in the order I played them. So first up is this Light in the Attic release from 2016. So is it a reissue, or is it I guess first time on vinyl? These are a sort of Columbia recording series overseen by Miles Davis, Betty Davis's husband at the time, in 68, 69. I think they were married. That was about the length of their marriage, to be honest. And yeah, so these are, well, there's 7 or 8 tracks. Some are finished, some feel a bit unfinished. Really interesting, kind of funky. Lot of artists like John McLaughlin and the like playing on it, and yeah, really interesting. And at the time I thought, yeah, this is really interesting. I should get the Betty Davis Light in the Attic releases of her solo albums that came in the early 70s, and I never did. And I still think that. So listening to this, I really enjoyed it, but thought, actually, I probably want to get a proper album by her. So she's pretty wacky, pretty out there, soul. Yeah, and it was good. It was good to listen to these, but I probably want now to seek out certainly her first couple of albums, I think. Okay, moving on is this album, which was a VC, or certainly a YouTube fave when it came out in 2016. So this is Avalanches and their album Wildflower, which was a follow-up to their album Since I Left You. Since I Left You came out in 2000, this came out in 2016, so it took them 16 years to do a follow-up. So Avalanches are an Australian duo, I think it is a duo, who do, what is it, sampling, plunderphonics I think it's called, or whatever it's called, piece together songs from many different sources, sort of spliced together. I think 400 sources we used on Since I Left You. So that was an interesting. I got that at the time. It was popular in the car with the kids. Since I Left You, the track itself, the title track is a very lovely track, and Frontier Psychiatrist was popular at the time, and always kind of popular with the kids in the car. A bit quirky, a bit wacky. So yeah, this is similar vein. So it uses lots of sampling. It's very lush, very summery, very enjoyable. Yeah, so I remember when I got it, I quite enjoyed it. I think it's on a par with Since I Left You, which is probably controversial. I don't think it gets as well reviewed. But yeah, I haven't listened to their more recent album. I think they brought one album out last year. That's their 3rd album. But yeah, this, really enjoyed going back to it, playing its double album. It's about an hour in total, and yeah, really enjoyable summer listen. Okay, talking of enjoyable summer listens, so this probably won't be recognised in the VC. It's not a massively kind of well-known artist or release. So this is Gothic Chicken and Lift the Cobweb Veil. Came out in 2016. The band have only ever, this is their only release. It's pop psych, very sort of Dukes of Stratosphere, XTC, really enjoyable. I remember kind of being unsure about it at the time, but going back to it and listening to it now, I really enjoyed this, going back to it. So this was a vinyl release. I think there's about 300 were released. I don't know if they've, you know, I assume they've sold out. And I think I saw it in Shindig magazine. It got a really good review. Well, I was a little bit dubious because I think the reviewer seemed to indicate that these were good friends of the reviewers, but they kind of really bigged it up as one. I think it was one of their albums of the year in the Shindig magazine. But I bought it and enjoyed it. But as I say, I didn't love it at the time, and I enjoyed it a lot more going back to it. So that was interesting. Okay, so another 2016 release, or this is a reissue on the You Are the Cosmos label. This is Tony Hazard Sings Tony Hazard from '69, I think originally it came out. So Tony Hazard, I think more famous, if he was truly famous, as a songwriter. He's written these are songs that he wrote for others that he has then recorded himself. So you know, and he's done songs for like sort of the Hollies, Lulu, Cliff Richard, was it Herman's Hermits? So he had a number of top 20, or artists had a number of top 20 singles in the mid to late 60s that he had written, and this is him singing them, and they're really enjoyable. It's very pop, very 60s pop, but good to go back to. And some of these songs a bit dubious these days, but I think the most famous probably would be Ha Ha Said the Clown, which was a Manfred Mann. Was it Manfred Mann's had that hit? I think they did. Yeah, and Fox on the Run, not the Fox on the Run suite, but a different Fox on the Run. Those two are probably the most well known. Sound of the Candyman's Trumpet was a Eurovision hit, I think, or song for Cliff Richard. But yeah, good, enjoyable pop, 60s pop. And then finally, an artist that I really do like, Canadian sort of psych, doom, stoner artist, but more on the kind of psych rock, I suppose, heavy psych. Black Mountain, male and female vocals, lots of lush sort of, I say sort of, I keep wanting to say stoner, but I think there's I'm thinking of something else, but stoner is what comes to mind. Spacey, that's what I'm thinking of, sort of spacey rock. This is four. This is four, so there's the fourth album. I've got all their albums in one form or another, and yeah. So this I thought was, at the time, again, I listened to this. I've got it digitally. I thought, well, it's not up to the par of their previous two albums, but going back to it, it's really strong. It's got some really long, spacey tracks, particularly the last one, Space to Bakersfield, is very Floydian, layered, very very sort of psyche rock, and I really enjoyed this. So it was really good to revisit these albums that I've left on the shelf for 5 years and realise I should have been giving them more attention. Certainly all 5 of them really were good revisits, and good to jog the memory of either the artists or the albums. Okay, so yep, so I shall probably say do another one of these September, for the ones I last listened to in September, and I'll try and pick out albums from 2016 that are 5 years old that I've probably left on the shelf for 5 years, unless there aren't enough of those, and I'll have to pick something else. Okay, cheers VC, bye.